It's 7 o'clock, folks, so let's call this meeting to order and stand for the pledge, if you please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Amendments to the agenda.
Yes, I'd like to put on SRO discussions for new business.
Okay. Anything else?
Done for me.
So, second for that?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. One more. Approval of the minutes of...
I'll make a
26th.
motion to approve the minutes of January 26th as written.
Second?
Second.
All those, additions, deletions, corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. All right. Department head reports.
5 minutes,
You win. Oh, what did I skip?
5 minutes of public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm pushing it a little bit. 5 minutes for public comment. There's public.
The last weekend, there was quite a showing at the Fairhaven Fitness.
Yeah.
At where?
Quite a lot of people.
Okay.
Not all of them, but many of them were out of staters, which I mean, great for them, but are they on board? Is it John's responsibility to make sure they're on board, that they're
Good
following
question.
procedures?
That's a really good question. It probably falls to him as
I would
much as
think so.
anybody.
I thought the same thing when I come by and saw the amount of people there.
Yeah,
There was a lot of people there.
there's a lot of people. I mean,
I mean, it's good for his business, but if it's...
yeah, it's great for
if
the
it's-
business. I was happy for the business.
Yeah, but let's make sure...
But we don't want to be on the map
Right.
Yeah.
if we can avoid it.
This is
And
Rutland County. It's
I came down through it one time. It must have been,
very fitness.
it must have been time when everybody was just out on a break. And I saw very few masks.
Okay, well, I didn't
That
see that part, but I counted quickly 30-mile-an-hour count. There's a lot of people in there.
Yeah, there was. They were
It's crowded
parked,
in
they were
there,
parked
too.
down into, what's his
Yeah,
name?
they're on the road. Yeah.
Both
So, I
sides.
mean, I'm happy for the business. I'm pro-business, but I'm also pro, let's not be in the
I agree.
news. And hopefully they've done everything, according to requirements.
It's almost too little too late, but can we ask John to go down and talk to him and just review what they should or shouldn't be doing? It's shutting the barn door up to the horse, but
This
it's,
isn't the only time.
They
No,
have
no.
recurring things, yeah.
yeah,
My
they do that a
concern
lot.
was the amount of people that were there and the size of the building with the equipment and stuff that's in there. How do you get your separation? How do you get your,
Yeah, I don't think-
I mean, I agree with what you're saying, because I think we should just make sure that we're on the,
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Yes.
We're all,
yeah.
we're all, got the same, priorities.
Yeah.
That, obviously his priority is to run his business, and I get that,
Me too.
but, a lot of them were out-of-state cars. Not all of them,
That's
but
the
a lot
other,
of them were, so.
that's the other thing. That's the hoops.
The only good news is, they're all probably pretty healthy people.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. But,
Keep them that way.
doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter.
It's equal opportunity offender.
Yeah, so at least we can have John go down and review that with him. I'm sure he'd love to do that. But, Anyone else? Anything else, Rob? All right. What I said before.
On the highway end of everything, of course, we're getting tired of these every other 24 hours or so, getting a little bit of snow here, a little bit of snow there. They very quickly eat into the salt, because we have to use the same amount of salt, whether it's an inch or, almost basically the same salt, we just keep plowing it off the road. So, but on a note of the salt, as of it was last Wednesday, Jim had went back on records, and we had used less salt as of last Wednesday than a year previous for the last 20. There was a few loads on order at that point, and we have ordered more since, so I'm not going to say we're still at that point, but we are doing fairly well at that level. And I do believe we're doing a fairly decent job of keeping the roads very safe and passable. The new truck is here. We got it out and about already. Of course, it showed up the day before a storm and went right to work, so we're happy with that. Equipment, keep trying to maintain as best we can. We're having some repeat offender issues with one truck that seems to fight us every other storm, so we're trying to keep that thing in the battle every storm we get. It was down for most of the day today. The boys were doing some fixing on that, so we looked a
What's
little...
wrong, what's the major problem? Or is it just this and that?
A used truck we purchased that we just keep finding more and more stuff that Friday the gentleman that operates the truck was washing it off, and one of the main springs in the back passenger side was broke. So that truck was out of service today. The guys were putting springs back in it, so we get it back on the road today. So if we looked slow today, we were slow today because we were trying to get a truck on the road and trying to fight the storm at the same time.
Yeah, but you can't blame that because it's a used truck. The springs break every day. So I mean, don't hold against the truck that was bought as a used truck because we broke some springs.
Yeah.
There's
some other factors we could talk about with it as well. But yeah, it's just we're playing catch up on that with some stuff here and there. So overall, everything else is fighting the good fight.
Okay, let me just say one thing. You're not getting another new truck, so
I'm not asking for one.
so just
No, it just
maybe don't complain about what you've got.
yeah. No, I just want to make you
Seemed
guys
pretty
aware.
adamant for a short termer.
Yeah.
Never can tell.
Just want to keep everyone aware of, when you look at the budget sheet, it's not that we're not trying to do our best, but like when I bring stuff up to Joe, I need springs for the truck, otherwise the truck doesn't move. So unfortunately, it's an expense we have to undertake. On the water end, we got a report of a leak down on Crippen Avenue. We went and investigated that and dug it. 2 days after that, ended up being Drew had a Y in our 3/4 line that ran down that street to the house there. That Y went and fed an old garage back in the day. When it got capped, and over the years the cap rotted and had a hole in it, so it was spraying water. So that's all fixed, and that actually was a very fast and safe dig. It was about 4 feet in the ground, so the boys were pretty quick at getting at it. Frost was only about a foot down. So we had one other issue on Saturday with a phone call from water coming in the basement around the service line area. By the time we got there, they had done enough investigating on their own. They had an issue in another portion of the house that was leaking water from inside the house out around the foundation, from a full foundation to like a half slab or crawl space area, and it was coming back in, mimicking a service line leak right next to the house. So thankfully they shut it down and established that before we got there, and turned it off the curb stop, and would have had it. Oh well, yeah, it must be that was the issue, and it might not have been. So the water department's happy. Otherwise, in talking with Tom, when we're talking about that leak on Crippen Avenue, their flows, knock on wood, are way low. He said that he wouldn't even notice it unless we called him and told him, look, we got some water. So if anything, it's a couple $1,000 gallons a day. So they're not seeing anything that looks out of the ordinary. So we're happy, and we're trying to keep our lips sealed on that one. Sewer plant, the upgrade finals, prints, and binders are out for review and as well as open for bid at this time. We have a pre-bid meeting coming up next Thursday, the 18th. As well, the RFP for the pump station control upgrades is out. We have a mandatory pre-bid meeting on that as well, the 18th. So we're trying to get as many people in town the same day and go through all of it and whatnot. On the RFP for the pump station, I've had quite a few people calling in trying to get information, so I'm hoping that with enough people showing up there, everyone will keep their pencils real sharp so we get a good deal on that project. Other than that, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
Thanks. Questions? You're on.
We're gonna get the trucks lettered, correct?
Yes,
Because the green one isn't lettered either.
it is. I've been waiting for that new one to come to order them at the same time,
Okay.
so.
We'll start with the police. They've thankfully been a little slow lately. They did have a burglary this week. Somebody broke in and stole a firearm. The chief is working on that. He reports they have $1,350 in fines for the month of January. We've also stayed at the Adams Street house. They've received another $500 fine for not coming into compliance with our junk ordinance.
The Adams Street.
Adams Street house. There's also a continued problem over on, I think it's let me look before I open my mouth. First Street. A gentleman had 4 cars, old junk cars parked out back. He did take out 3 of them. There was one kind of tucked back behind the bushes. After all the leaves fell, you can see it again. So that gentleman has received another $500 ticket for having junk in his yard. Other than that, that was all the police had going, thank goodness. From the manager's office, we're continuing with our delinquent property tax collection. We moved on to we're still working on 12 South Main. That is still in probate. With the check that I received tomorrow, we'll be able to move that forward and get the license to sell the property. So that'll have to go out to bid, I believe, but that one's moving forward, working our way through the court system. There's a property on Airport Road owned by a Mr. Bischoff. That property, the gentleman had said that he was going to sell it, so we gave him a little bit of time to do that. He has not come through with the sale, so we're moving that one through tax sale right now as well. That gentleman owes about more than $11,000 in taxes at this point. Oh, like I had sent an email. We did receive bids for the town hall improvements. Back in 2018, the estimated cost was going to be $350,000 thereabouts. The actual costs came in at $150,000 more than that, so close to $450,000. 500, yeah, close to $500,000. We reached out to the funding agencies, both USDA and the VCDP, Vermont Community Development Program. USDA said if we can't find additional funds, they'll let us scale back our scope of work and just add an elevator. And VCDP said that they're interested in continuing the project. We go to request another $250,000 from them April 1st, $250,000. Do we have to show more income?
We don't. But the money that the town has spent on fuel tank closure, the money to repair the beam here, which was insurance money, but we've added more to this project than what was originally intended. So I'm going to lump all the new money in and say that's additional match.
Is some of this rise, COVID related, the cost of construction materials and everything? I'm hearing it from contractors everywhere. Is there any chance we can get some COVID relief money to help
I looked for
cover some of that?
Yep, I looked for, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I looked for some COVID relief funds. There's really nothing coming to municipalities. If you were a business that suffered some kind of setback, it would be easier. There is a venue
a new venue grant that came out, but the structure is so tight that we don't fit into that category.
Well, there's more coming in that if they do the relief fund that they're talking about that has the stuff for the $1,400 check there, that's supposed to be pretty comprehensive for towns
Yeah.
and municipalities.
I'm hoping.
Keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. But our funding agencies have been sympathetic. That's when I talked to the community development, they said across the board, everybody is in the same position we are, that we set up these projects, and just as we were getting ready to go build, COVID hit. Which pushed everything back, and then prices went up.
So we can scale back, we can do what we've got money for, is that what you're saying?
Good.
I mean, we don't have to worry about doing this whole project all at once. We can do parcels, like the elevator or the bathrooms, or, you know, or I think, I don't know, furnace I think was part of it too at one time, right? You know, so I mean, it's not like we have to borrow money to do this project.
Oh, no, I would never even ask.
Okay, that's what my concern is, and if we can just do what we can do with what we've got, fine. I mean, as long as we get the upstairs stabled with this new beam, I can understand doing the elevator, but I wanna make sure that the upstairs is secured before we start putting money in the elevator. That's joint, that, you know, I mean, if we have to do our furnace, bathrooms or something like that before the elevator, you know what I'm saying? If we can't get a written or somebody signing off that the upstairs is stable and upstairs is safe, I just don't wanna see putting that kind of money into an elevator, that's all. I mean, I don't wanna stop the project, but I wanna make sure that we know where we are when we do it.
Sure. And that, the beam replacement is moving forward. The architect and Mr. Ferguson have been in contact with me, kind of following on emails. The architect's drafting up his plans, and Todd's already, he's looked at it, and he's submitted his bid already for the insurance refund, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as onerous as the original.
You know, I'm not trying to kill a project, I just wanna make sure that what we do is that get the approval for the use of the upstairs.
Sure. We don't wanna waste money, that's for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, so touching on that home that's on the donation from Maple Street, the family wanted to donate a house to the town. They did send a letter over, you know, saying that they would pay the taxes and keep up the upkeep and keep the insurance on the home. Legal was not very impressed with the letter. They felt like there was no teeth to it, so they're gonna draft something and respond back to these folks saying that, okay, we'll take it, except, you know, these are the requirements. And I'll bring that to the board for approval before we sign anything, obviously. I'm working with a phone company to upgrade our phone system. I guess it's been a few years. The gentleman came in and took a look. We wanted to do some upgrades for COVID in this room. And as he was poking around, he said this is an outdated system. He said we could save about $400 a month with a $400, it's gonna cost us about $400 to switch over. So it's all gonna be voice over internet instead of just a, you know, phone line.
So $400 to do it with the average of $400 a month savings.
Yes.
That's kind of a no-brainer.
Oh yeah, no, it's,
I think.
it makes it, I trust, the guy's name is Bob, and I trust Bob. He installed the last system, but, it sounds almost, not this Bob. But it's almost too good to be true, so I've been kinda nervous about it.
But if it is true, it certainly is a no-brainer. I mean,
That's a ton of money every year.
Yeah.
And we did finally sign those contracts with Du Bois and King for the park lighting and, park and ride contract, so that, they'll start working on that hopefully in early spring. And that's what I got.
They're gonna be prepared to do do the lights by when?
If everything works out perfectly, they might be able to get them in the fall. If not, it's gonna be at least 2 years.
Really?
We'll be looking, because it's federal government.
Never mind.
Well, they gotta look to make sure there's no burial grounds, and they gotta do a flood study, and they gotta, every study that they can think of.
If the park floods, we're
NEPA.
in deep, deep trouble.
Not that it matters to us, but there's, the NEPA requirements are under review, because those are the most onerous.
So
Things
for
to deal with.
lighting, we were talking before about concerts in the park starting later. If the lighting doesn't come in, that going through October is at risk, isn't it? Unless we do.
Well,
I don't understand.
It's that,
Once again, I don't understand these friggin' studies, you know, and everything that goes on. You're gonna run a cable in the ground. You're gonna put light poles up. What is the big deal? I mean, we get funding to do this stuff from the state and from the federal government. And then they step in here and tell you, well, you can't do it for 2 years, or you can't do it for 3 years. Just like our salt shed. You know, we've been fooling around with our salt shed now for 2 years. And now they come in because now, how the hell can it be a floodplain when you got a river behind it that's 30 feet below it? I don't understand. It's certainly an anti-business state and anti-business everything here, because it just, they don't let any projects work.
Not the state,
They wanna let the,
it's the federal government.
but they want to give you the money, but they don't want you to do it.
Yeah, they're tough to deal with. but-
And it's ridiculous, you know?
Well, jump through whatever hoops you got to.
That's, gotta dance the dance.
Go along with what you just said about the engineers and stuff. Do they have any kind of a timeline on how long it would take once they got the permit? Once they got the okay?
In the park?
Yeah.
They did send over a packet. I can bring the timeline. I can actually email it to everybody for them to read.
I mean, 'cause
I don't know.
how long is it gonna take to put these lights in? I mean,
Shouldn't take long.
I would, couple weeks, I would think they should be able to do it, because they're gonna run the cable. They're all, you know, they'll run a cable underground, which is that far below the ground, so they're not gonna get into nothing. I would really like to see this project, so these lights are put in. Again, can only do so much.
So, on the voice over IP, do you make sure that the E911 issues are transparent?
I don't understand.
Well,
So I guess
you're over the internet.
Yeah.
So, the switching is not the same. So when someone dials 911, is the call center gonna know where you are?
I will confirm, but
Just confirm.
yeah, let me confirm about it, but I would imagine yes.
Because for the longest time, the voice over IP was for long distance, not really for, you know, local calls, 911.
Sure.
Just make sure that we don't create another problem.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Moving right along.
No questions for Joe? All right, trailer replacement. Back to you.
Right to me. So the gentleman that Rod had suggested did come down and inspect the trailer. And he said that trailer that we have is one of the cheaper builds of trailers. His recommendation was not to put another dollar into that. And that was even before I showed him the tongue that had the holes in it. And once he saw that, he said that's full rail replacement. He said there's not enough value in this thing to fix. He said, you know, spring issues, the other issues that he saw before he even looked at the tongue. He said there wasn't enough value in that trailer to even do that portion. I asked him for a letter to that effect. I have not received it yet, but so As I said, we have done research, got some pricing back on other trailers, looking for 20-ton capacity. The only one available in the area is down at Hoosick Falls, New York. It's a cam superline, 10-ton carrying capacity. Our machine weighs just over 18,000 pounds, so there's room for us to, even carry a little bit more if we have to. The price on that machine ends up being cheaper than all the rest. The gentleman's looking to get $12,000 for it. The MSRP on it is $14,000. Normally they sell it right around $13,000. So he said he'd be able to give it to us for $12,000. And that, like I said, that's the only one that's in the area that I've found. All the rest we have to order them. They're upwards of 3+ months out before we even see it, possibly.
Is this a 20-ton trailer or a 10-ton trailer?
10-ton trailer
Okay.
capacity. So the cam trailer line, they build their trailers by the capacity, not by the weight of the trailer total. There's other lines out there. One that I had found that was closer, it was a 20,000 pound trailer. Well, the trailer weighed like 5,000 something. So when it was all said and done, the carrying capacity was under 18,000 pounds because they don't advertise it as such. So I do have the ad here and the proposal from the gentleman.
Now, do we have the money for that, or?
Money would have to come from the equipment fund.
But we have money in the equipment fund?
There's 69,692 in that account.
That top one right there on that page.
69.
Joe, or Aaron, what does that do to your capital replacement plan, pulling 12,000 out for the trailer?
That punches a hole in it.
It punches a hole in it.
Yeah.
That's my highway boss man says it does us no good to have a $100,000 excavator that we can't move either. So,
Good point.
But you also got $7,000 toward it that we just got from that truck,
Yes.
correct? 7,500, right?
Yeah, that money should have been moved into the account.
So we're looking at,
So the 69 includes that?
No, this is an old, so the 69 would actually, you'd have to add 7,000 to it. These are updated once a month.
How,
what I'm
how
saying-
old is,
go ahead, Joe.
how old is this trailer? What year is the cam?
it's a 2020.
Oh, okay, almost.
2019?
20,
It does not have a date. It's new. It's not been in service. I can't imagine it's
Oh,
older
okay.
than a 20. Yeah, it's new.
Okay,
The used market is way off kilter with the coronavirus stuff because these trailers are, like I said, they're months and months out. So if it comes up used, it's gone. If it comes up used and sits there, it's the same kind of trailer we have currently. It needs a lot of money.
yeah.
so you're looking at, what'd you say, 11,000?
12,000.
12,000. So you gotta come up with $5,000 over top of the sale of the truck.
Not quite, right?
No.
Not quite.
I would ask that they would go with the 5, and I did get some pricing on chains and binders, so we would meet the standard that we want to meet. And that quote comes in $472.20. That'll give us the amount of tie-down points we need and the chain capacity with binders to meet the DOT regulations going down the road.
From the trailer supplier?
No, this would be coming from another vendor. I asked him if he could help us out with that. He said he does not have that stuff. He has ratchet strap type stuff. He does not have chain and binder like we're looking for.
Can you buy it locally? I mean,
That one's Hoosick Falls.
no, I mean,
the chain binder stuff, can you get that, or?
I was gonna check with him, if that price, I'm not sure if he can beat, if we can go a little higher with the allowance. My apologies, I meant to get there today, but I was sitting behind the wheel for too long to
So what are you looking at? 12,500, is that what you want? Is that what you're looking at?
yes.
And we can cover it with the sale of the previous truck. And then take 5,000 or 5,500 out of the equipment, correct?
It would all come out of the.
No, but I'm saying,
Yes.
what we're looking at, we're basically looking at $5,500 out of our account.
Right.
Because we had the 75 that went into it, correct?
Yes.
Then I'll make a motion that we buy the trailer for $12,000 and an extra $500 to buy chains and binders
Come out of the.
to come out of the equipment fund,
Reserve account.
reserve account.
And I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
I got a question, a couple questions. What kind of brake system?
Electric,
Electric. So do we have to do anything to any of the trucks
no.
to drag it?
No, the truck that's, we're told right now is already set up with electric brakes.
And it's a 5,500?
No, it'd be the single axle. The 5500s don't have enough pulling capacity for that excavator.
It has to be one of the dump trucks.
Yes.
Okay. So and it's all set up for electric brakes?
Is it the DPW equipment?
Because the previous trailer had electric brakes, if I remember correctly, right?
It did, I don't believe they're operational.
No, but I'm saying, but it was set up for, it was set up for electric brakes, or the truck itself has already been set up for the use of electric brakes.
Good, but you said you had two.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask about the chains. You wanted 1/2-inch chains.
So 3/8 with the amount of tie downs we'll have will meet the criteria.
Okay.
So there's some savings in the chains there.
What do you got, understand that? The motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay. You got a trailer. The truck loan.
Okay, so this is the final paperwork to sign for the new DPW truck that came in last week. There are several spots for the board to sign.
So do we need a motion or anything to, we've already taken care of
Yeah,
that?
you've already motioned a couple of times, we just need a
Get
couple of signatures.
signatures?
Yes.
You don't mind if I don't sign it, correct? I didn't vote for the truck, and at the time I didn't feel we needed one, so.
Did you get all?
There's several, everywhere on the tab.
Let's go, while we're doing that, let's do the pump station. Pump station loan.
But
Borrowing money.
also, yeah, lots of money. Also, final paperwork to sign for the pump station loan. This is the $45,000 to match the $60,000 that is currently in the sewer fund.
This is what we discussed last meeting.
Yes. So Jeff asked at the last meeting, which I apologize for not having, this pump station, the payment, annual payment is $9,000. This will amount to about $11 a year for each water customer, each water sewer customer.
Where are you putting that?
It's up to the board. When we do the budget, you can decide to put it on, usage or the base rate.
I would recommend usage.
The rule of thumb is to put it on sorry, to put it on the base, yeah.
Base.
But it's up to the board to do as they please.
I would just rather see it on usage.
Annual payment.
When I start,
$9,000.
sewer's gonna be switched out.
9,000 a
And
year.
yeah,
For each customer, it's
$11 a year.
There's one more here, Glenn. I found another one for us. Interim financing for the wastewater plant.
Okay, more signing. So this is the final signatures. These are the last signatures you need for the, $3,720,000 interim financing for the wastewater plant. And there are 3 places to sign for the board.
You're worried about $100,000. You're a piker.
Okay.
Junk change, yeah. After a while it becomes real money. Okay. The last one on old business is the voter guide.
So for the voter's guide, I put a copy in your packets. If the board has edits or any kind of revisions, we can make those. We do need to get those out pretty quick because the voting is March
A month away.
2nd, yeah.
How are we planning to get these out?
Home mailings or?
Yeah, direct mail, yeah. We're gonna have to stuff an envelope.
I will tell you what I think about it.
Okay.
I'm uncomfortable in general. We're paying for promoting one side of a vote, whether we like it or not. So I'm uncomfortable with the select board unless everybody wants to chip in.
I'm comfortable with it. I think we owe it to the voters to know what they're voting on, and I don't believe it's one-sided.
Yeah, well,
But that's my 2 cents.
It does, for me, it says to the voters, this is gonna cost you money, this isn't gonna cost you money. The implication is that things that cost you money, we shouldn't vote for. It also, I think it puts our budget in jeopardy. And I think it puts the library in jeopardy. Mine is not so much that as I'm just really uncomfortable about taking a position, taking taxpayer money and making it.
Broadcast it.
I think this is what we asked for.
It is, but
Which because we were saying, discussion was that maybe a lot of people don't really understand the implication for the things that they're voting for. And this
She
is,
didn't sign.
oh, I'm
Carol's
sure.
gotta sign.
I just wanted to remind us of that.
I know, and I've been stewing about it.
But it does look that way when you look at it. Oh, okay, well, I don't want to spend any more money, so we'll just go down and vote no on these things.
I think we owe it to the voters to understand what it is they're voting for. Now, if this voter's guide makes you think it's one-sided, then where's the one-sided wording? Because I don't see it. It's all factual.
It's not
If
the
there's
point. My point is a lot more, overall, small d democratic. It's, as a board, we're taking taxpayer money and promoting a vote.
Well,
And I get what, we talked about doing this, I get it, but the more I thought about it, the more, having been a victim of this before, I'm a little touchy about it.
It looks like we're hiding something if we don't come out and say.
No.
That's my feeling.
Well, what you're assuming is people are stupid.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that it's complicated when you start
It
putting
is.
budget appropriations and carryover together, and anything we can do so that we have a voter that knows what they're voting for and not assuming that when they take the appropriations, that the money isn't already figured into the budget. Now, if you've got another way of making sure the voters are aware of that, I'm fine. And I understand the risk that once, if people are not aware of what they're voting for, that some things may be at risk. I get that.
Well, it almost sounds like you'd like them to be.
I'm
like
saying,
them to
I'm
be- you'd
saying that
like-
the voters
you-
should
so-
know that appropriations are $293,000, and here we fight all year long to get an $83,000 increase in the general budget. Yeah, I think the
But
voters should know that.
you're doing the same thing here, because when you, Article 2 says, yeah, voting yes will increase taxes. Now, if we end up sending this out, I would put by how much, what percentage more than it was last year. I'd add that, but I mean, mine is a much more, just, it's my feeling that we should be neutral in this.
I believe this is neutral, it's factual and says what's there. We're not saying which way to go, but we owe it to be as clear as we can of what it is when you vote on that. But that's just my opinion.
Let me ask a question. Would you feel better about this if it was just put out, say, in a newspaper and not send to individuals, and post this at the 5 or 3 posting places that we have in the town, and just put one thing in the paper about it and show what it is and not send it to everybody?
I would feel better that
On
we're
the
not
town
using.
website,
Yeah, or on the website, put it on the website. or-
Facebook
I
and
mean,
website, I just want the
I agree with
information
Bob.
to get to the voters.
I agree with Bob to a part of what he's saying, because we're using taxpayers' money to send all this stuff out.
Yep.
And I think we should use our regular ways of notifying the public. I don't have a problem with what's written here, but I mean, just trying to touch on what Bob is saying, we are gonna spend money to send this out. We have to get all this stuff printed. I would suggest that we put it even in 2 different newspapers, 2 of the local newspapers, and post this writing in our 4 or 5 places where we post stuff. That's my
You could
suggestion.
tone it down a little by not underlining will not and will.
Right.
And maybe not not bold that, more as just kind of have it there for the information, but, I think that would help to tone it down some.
Or just drop those lines out, drop the voting yes will increase taxes. Because that did feel like we were leading a little bit.
Well, to a point, you're still explaining it to the people what's going on with our budget. And we're explaining to the people, how we
They
came with
should
that
understand
decision.
when it says the total budget increase is $84,000, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's nice to see where our increases are and where they're not. I mean, but I do agree with Bob that I don't feel we should send them every house.
And I agree with that too.
I think we should just publicize it. I think it should be publicized, don't get me wrong.
I mean, you could put it around, I'm getting the feeling I'm not getting any support for not sending it out.
Well,
But, so,
no,
go to Plan B.
You are for me.
Sending it out or
What if we,
anything at all?
what if we
Doing
put
it
it,
at all.
what if we put, all right, just, I'm gonna take Liberty Street, for instance. They got a spot where they stick the local newspapers. Well,
Yeah,
maybe they
right.
get a spot where we can just put some of these things out.
Yeah, and the Wooden Soldier and.
Wooden Soldier.
Stewart's and-
Stewart's, Shaw's,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, I'm fine with that, I feel much more comfortable with that.
that's,
There's still an expenditure in paper and.
well, that's a
effort.
person, but then the person is picking up at their discretion. You're not mailing it to them. You know what I'm saying? And I do agree with you about mailing, Bob, so you got my support there.
Is there
One
any
out of 2.
value in, I think the answer's no, but, at the end, take out under each article, what will at the end have a line that says which articles will affect our tax rate, and just have them listed separately, so it doesn't necessarily point to each one. I don't know if that's helpful or not, or if it's gonna,
I think that, yeah, I don't know that it is, you know,
I just think they should see,
I just think that the voters are far more intelligent than we're giving them credit for. They just vote for, the people that vote for those things all the time, no matter what.
The people that I've talked to weren't aware that the appropriations added to our tax rate each time. They thought it was money that we already had, because of the way we mix it in there. I'm just telling you about that. So,
It's hard,
all I'm
I guess
looking
it's
for
just hard
is,
for me to get that, but I mean.
all I'm looking for is, when we hear everyone talking about how high our taxes are now, how high our taxes are. And I believe it's very confusing for the average person when you come to, and especially when you have 24 articles that you're voting on. The number of articles, and it's a combination of taking carry forward money that has already been taxed monies, and then taking appropriation. And this year we added that you didn't need because of COVID. Heck, we've got four or five new ones that didn't even have to go out and get petitions. I think we owe it to the taxpayers, instead of just saying, here, figure it out.
yeah, I do
On election day.
like, for instance, the Boys and Girls Club says it's an increase of 5,000. As a voter, I don't think you would know that unless you were really looking at
That's
your
true.
last year's budget. And the same what you were just saying, Glenn, with the last ones, this is a new request, it's this much more. I do think that's helpful for the voters.
Is it legal to say all that? It wasn't legal to say that on the warning.
Right.
No, you can't say it
Can't
on
say any
the,
of this stuff on the.
You can't say any of it on the warning, but
This isn't the warning, I mean,
This
it's-
is-
Well, I
the warning.
understand this is not the warning, however.
It feels gray.
There's a
It feels
legality
gray.
issue, and are we circumventing it? And, you know, let's just say, the rescue squad, just to, I'm not hoping on anything, but the rescue squad is voted down on that.
Mhm.
Can the rescue squad take this and take it to town to court?
can we run the voter guide by?
yeah. I'll
Legal?
get
We'll- as
a
usual,
solid legal opinion, but.
we can get a legal opinion. I can't, if we get to the point where we can't tell people the truth and what's going on,
well, the truth is,
Because-
it's the truth as you perceive it.
no,
Yeah.
it's the truth.
No, you're telling them the truth with the warning, okay? You're just not, the state doesn't want you to embellish,
But they should
because
hope
you
for
don't, they
common
want you to lead
understanding.
the voters.
And the intent's not to lead the voters, but there should be, the goal should be to get understanding.
But this,
Get you there.
this could be construed as leading the voters,
Understood.
from a legal standpoint.
Well, you can go to VLCT and
let's
see.
run this by them.
In the meantime, is there any revisions anybody saw that was,
If anyone sees anything that looks harsh or one-sided,
well,
send those comments.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. It's, this idea came in New Hampshire, where I work. They're actually, on the warning, it says, because of this, your increase is by this much, and it's on the vote.
yeah, you can't do that
Yeah,
here.
you can't do that here, but what's,
No, and you can't even say by petition.
Right, they took that off.
Which is, that's probably the most misleading thing because that's where people get the disconnect. They just think it's part of the budget. So that's,
Yeah.
that used to be, oh,
I always
you're-
thought it was.
By petition, but then the state said, no, you can't do that anymore.
right, right. Well, let's get beyond the intellectual argument, which is.
Let's have a
very
legal
far.
person look at this before we.
Well, we can, yeah, but is there any revisions anybody needs us out of here?
I don't have a problem with what's in it. I
Okay.
just wanna make sure that it's legal, that we can do it.
In the Article 2, it says, this is a portion of the annual bond payment. This is down in the second bullet. Then the other portion of the bond payment will be covered by a sewer base rate increase. Why don't you just say what the portion is? Why do you have to say a portion?
Of the sewer rate, because I don't think we've agreed on it until later.
You haven't agreed,
No.
$76,000.
It's 76,000 and the other 76,000 will be
Okay, I see
raised
what you're
by,
saying.
You want the actual, you're saying, put the
Well,
actual
it says
number
a
in?
portion. It's like your,
The base rate's gonna pay 76,000.
it's 50% portion.
Yeah.
And the other 50% is in the sewer.
Good point.
so that should, instead of saying portion, you should just say the other 50%.
Yeah, the percentage,
Yep.
yeah,
Right.
the actual percentage.
You just
Right.
word it that way. And I would, on that particular one as well, I would put what the increase was, percentage-wise, at the bottom where it says, voting yes will increase taxes by, what is it, 3.8 or whatever? Is that where we were?
And are you gonna take the underline out?
Yes, I'm gonna unbold and ununderline.
Right.
And right now I'm posting to Facebook, the website, and at our 3 regular posting places, as well as printing copies and leaving them at the store.
After you're gonna have,
After we,
after you have a legal person look
Sure.
at this, correct?
yes, sir.
Okay.
And
The town lawyer or VLCT?
I think VLCT, they're cheap.
They're cheaper and they know this.
They know this, yeah, this is
You
their
pay a lawyer,
failure.
he's gotta review the law.
Right.
That's why here they can just send it, let them look at it and have it go from there.
Can you forward their responses out, like if it's anything gray?
If it's anything, yes. I won't send anything out unless it's 100% clear.
Okay.
Okay. So this is, but if you get the okay, we should give you the authorization to put this out tonight.
Sure. Because
Because
this is something from the town or from the board, so I didn't want to send it just.
Do you wanna, well, let's have a motion for that, I think, actually.
I'll make a motion that we send this out after we get,
Legal.
legal counsel. And again, not by mail, but by, putting it at different locations and let people pick up their own copy.
Is there a second?
That's,
You got all that? Joe?
that's my motion.
Yeah, can I just, I have an opinion too.
Sure.
Sort of.
I'm kind of sort of savvy about what goes on here. My father was a selectman and I served on the board and I've been doing this forever. Until I served on the board, I didn't know that these articles were not part of the budget. And not because I'm stupid, just because
It was
there's no place where it's different. It's all one ballot. Except that it's articles, and it's all articles about stuff that happens in town.
Again, going on what you just said, is there a place where you put it on the ballot that this isn't part of the original budget? You can't do that, correct?
No, that's the whole, I think the whole idea of it, the by petition really helped that.
And I also, I tend to agree with you that sending it individually to homes is maybe not the way to go. Not because you're spending my tax dollars to mail it to me, just, I think I should be able to pick one up and.
If you're interested in what you wanna do, right? You can just pick
Well,
one up
yeah,
and do it.
now, the only downside to that is that there's a lot of people that don't get to the bank,
Especially in COVID.
get to the wooden soldier,
In our place,
to
we should put it,
Right.
don't have PCs.
Shaw's, they have somebody else do
Well,
it
that's,
for them.
that would be the advantage of having it in the local papers,
In
like,
the paper
Yeah,
and,
in the
and on the
paper.
website and that kind of thing.
so people have a chance to look at it,
Yeah.
one way or the other.
Or just,
It'd be really great if it was a meeting, if it was a real meeting.
Where we could talk to, if there was a floor meeting, you could talk to the taxpayers.
or even just a paragraph someplace that says, you know,
All people
Did
that
you know-
watch, everybody that's watching this on television,
Yeah, right.
pick this up in the paper, in the local stores, so you know what we're voting on in March.
you'd be surprised how many people watch this on
Oh, I know.
TV.
It's a
Incredible.
surprise.
I have one lady that calls me every Friday
One more
and
thing.
comments on our wardrobe.
Oh, really?
Carol?
So there's no reason that you couldn't have a second pre-town meeting and kind of just answer people's questions if they wanted that.
Well, it'd be hard because your town meeting's the day before the election.
No, I'm saying you could have one earlier.
Oh.
Yeah. And basically just go over all this. If they-
And you can verbalize all these things, I believe.
Yeah.
You can verbalize it, but you can't, I'm not sure you can put it in writing like this.
Well, I was
But that's
thinking
what for
if,
the lawyers to say.
if you look at Article 1, 2, and 3, and take off the, what voting yes will do to you, whether it's increase or not affected taxes, remove that from those 3 articles. Then the next ones that you look at, are mostly just more, same as last year, an increase of this, which is, to me, less leading, but it's still the information that you want. The new request ones I think are good. So maybe we could consider taking those off the first 3.
See, I would like to see Article 9 involved in what we're voting on for the town, and not have it separated out, because it makes it look like this library isn't part of the town.
But it's separate from
I
those
know,
ones above.
and I don't understand
I don't understand why we don't have it.
In our budget.
Well, it isn't part of the general budget to begin
It
with,
should be. It's our library.
when I saw that.
Is that a question that we can pose to the VLCT as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with it. At one time, they had a lot of private funding, or they had an endowment of some sort. I'm sure that's long gone. And, so this is probably from when it was originally built.
Well, I think that it's similar to cemeteries where they have a trust,
Yeah.
trust, and they use the income from that trust to supplement,
Right.
but it's not enough.
Right, exactly.
And they have separate, it's not like the fire department where they have separate cash,
Right.
which no one knows what it is and all that kind of stuff. Same thing with, it's not our business.
Sort of.
And same thing with the library, kinda, sorta. But, it is different, but it looks the same as Fairhaven Rescue Squad.
Yeah, it looks the same as an appropriation.
Well, it looks like, you could look at it, if you didn't know about the incorporation of the town and stuff, you could say that Fairhaven Rescue Squad was part of Fairhaven.
Yep.
See, that's, if you want to go back quite a few years ago, that's one of the reasons why we pushed for the Fairhaven, Fire Department Inc. to have their name changed so it doesn't say Fairhaven, so people didn't think that corporation was part of the town of Fairhaven. Because that was a separate corporation, their Inc. It had nothing to do with the town of Fairhaven.
Right.
And you're right, it's, yeah. We all should be lawyers.
So what did we?
Well, I was just gonna.
Carol's, your recommendation on page 3 to take the voting yes will affect taxes off Articles 1, 2, and 3. On the Articles 4 through 8, we're voting yes on these articles, will not increase taxes.
Well, the
Do we take, to be?
Article 2 is the appropriation, that's our spending money for the year, so that will raise taxes,
That's,
right? I mean.
Right, but we were saying remove that line.
On the
Voting
bottom.
yes will increase taxes on Article 1, 2, and 3.
Because those are,
Because if it feels too, like we're leading too much on those, I don't think we are leading on the other ones when they're the same, or if it just states an increase of.
how about on the page 6, we're voting yes on these articles, will increase your taxes. And those are articles, 9 through 24.
Just say they're not part of the budget. You don't say will, won't increase taxes, this is not part of the budget, those articles are not in the budget.
I mean, if the voting on these articles will increase taxes is too harsh, the bullet before it, it's just restating what says before. If all appropriation requests pass, the tax increase will be $293,534.
Yeah.
I believe, we probably said the same thing twice, so.
Well,
Yeah, but in
we're
this-
not.
In this, how do you determine what is an appropriation and what is, because they're all articles. So you're saying, you're using a
all
different word,
articles.
Glenn, than what's listed in here.
Right, their article, that they have to read, and maybe there's been, the second bullet that says Articles 9 through
Instead of saying
24,
appropriation,
fund various
just
communities,
repeat articles.
fund various community support organizations that are asking for your tax donations. Articles 21 through 24 are new appropriation, okay. So somewhere we might need to put the word appropriations, or,
Or pull out appropriations, you just use
right,
requests.
just use articles,
requests.
just use articles and take appropriations
Yeah, and
out of that, our new articles.
You may wanna say above and beyond the.
Is that what you're saying? And don't,
It's, you've got a semantics issue.
yep,
The thing about it is, the 293,000 is above and beyond our budget, which is up 84,000. So we're really, between all the appropriations, what we call appropriations, and the budget, we're up in the 300 and whatever, 60,000, 70,000 range.
yeah, and all we're really looking to do is to say, if we have a 3.84% increase in the general budget, understand that the increase in the taxes, if these others go through, it doesn't matter, whatever, it's going to go up, and that percentage could go up. And I don't even wanna put a number out on PEG TV, but it could, if the taxpayer is complaining that a 10% tax increase, it's up to the taxpayer to say what they want to spend.
So we're gonna take the three, well, the only one that actually increases is 2. The other ones are just information on the first, 1, 2, and 3. And then you're gonna reword the back page, is that what I'm
Yeah,
hearing?
I'll take
Use articles
appropriations out
versus
and use,
appropriations.
yeah, we'll use
I-
articles instead of
Yeah,
appropriations.
I think that's good.
For us, we understand that, but if you're reading through, it's like, well, what is it, what do you mean? I could see that reason.
Yeah, the appropriations here, I think there should be some sort of, if you're gonna assume the voters don't understand, then we gotta make sure they understand that the 84,000 increase on the front page does not reflect on that 293,000.
Yes.
Jeff, anything to add?
Which,
The more we go down this rabbit hole, the more I agree with Bob.
thank you.
I do think it's helpful though, in general, even though we don't typically have something like this. I would think the taxpayers would like
Let's hope so.
to have it. I think.
I know I was more like, I think in our last meeting, Carol, when you were saying, I sit and look at those articles and I go, oh, if you're having concerns, yeah, they're a good organization, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
this, yes, points, yes. How can you not say yes to each of
Another
those?
thing is that these come in, this part of your ballot is at the end. Most people are sick of reading and putting just X, 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 X,
Yeah.
X.
Well,
A lot of people don't read every word.
no, I do know that.
I'm pretty sure if you mail this out, they won't read it anyway, but.
Right, so, okay, we're
So we're not gonna mail it
not gonna
out,
mail anything.
but we do have a motion on the floor and we should get moving.
No, just throw it.
Yeah,
And
you're
I- And
right.
we have a motion to do, we had a second too?
Yes.
Yep.
You had a second, right? Or did,
I didn't get a second.
I'll second the motion.
all right.
What's
So
the
Penny,
motion?
the motion is to send this to various places,
do a press release, not mail it, and, pending legal opinion.
Okay.
Okay. With a few minor adjustments. All right, all those in favor?
I,
All those opposed?
Nay, whatever.
Moi, me too.
three, two,
Yep.
Who knows?
two, no.
It's closer than I usually am.
So there is not gonna be a in-person meeting?
No.
And there's not gonna be, and there's not gonna be a mailing.
Yeah,
Not, what?
There's not gonna be a mailing.
Yeah, no, I know that.
But if
But
anyone-
the last I heard, we were using one of the clubs. But
no,
I didn't hear that,
we went with just virtual.
And hopefully we get this out to where people at the virtual meeting, if they have questions, they got this before, that they've seen it either at one of the places sitting out there and we can talk it.
You're counting on a lot of people being able to navigate a computer.
Oh, I believe our virtual meeting won't be well attended at all.
Well,
I don't know, I've never seen you at the personal meeting, but they're not well attended either,
yeah, there are like 30 people,
at most.
if we're lucky.
Yeah. I
It's
guess,
not the same that you don't actually change anything. I think that's one of the things. Plus, people are out of that kind of habit. But anyways, let's move on. Mayor Murphy's getting a little tired.
He's snoring over here.
I thought, I wondered if it was me.
That's why I was there.
I know, I saw you looking that way.
Yeah, it's like, man, he's tired.
Okay, so, we're talking about a dog park. You,
Okay, so, I called the town manager in Manchester, Middlebury, and West Rutland to find out what their experience has been with the dog park, if they've seen slacking off of volunteers. And my final question to all of them was, if you had it to do over and nobody would know what you said, would you want a dog park in the town? And all three of them said definitely. West Rutland was, oh, hell yes, it's a wonderful thing. I talked to Dave Dress and Sherry Ellison, who started the Pause for Parks or whatever it was. And I asked about, the volunteers, had they had problems keeping up with the park so that the town wouldn't have to take over. And they said people will leave and then people come in, but they hadn't had a problem with that. There's enough enthusiasm for the park. Murphy has posted that there was a possibility. We've got a lot of response. A lot of people are really gung-ho for a dog park. We discussed different places around town. The airport would be a good place for it. People could walk the trails around. There's a picnic area. We've also discussed doing a memorial garden with engraved bricks to raise money, but also make a nice little area where people can sit on a bench, So we're working on ideas and everything. We just need, the select board to be on board with it. So far, I've been selling masks. Since we've got the money for the playground, I've still been making Valentine's, whatever. I've got $450 already towards the dog park, and we haven't even decided we get one. So, what are the board's issues or thoughts on a dog park?
I don't have a problem with it all. I've seen them work in big cities that you would think nobody would take care of them.
Right.
People generally take care of their own dogs anyways. I mean,
Yeah.
there's rarely people, particularly it's the peer pressure kind of thing. People, when there's 2 or 3 people in the park at the same time, that your dog poops, you're not gonna be just kind of looking the other way. It doesn't work that way.
No.
And people self-regulate themselves. I don't have a problem. I think the airport's a great place for it, and there's room up there. We could do that without any trouble.
Right.
That's my opinion on one.
Yeah, I think dog park is wonderful, wonderful idea. only thought I had, because I'm not as concerned as, about mowing, cleaning up. I think people will do the right stuff there. Did any of the three places you talked to, I would imagine that every once in a while, you run into that individual with a discipline problem with a dog, and well, here are the rules for the dog park.
Right.
And
Yeah, I talked to the gentleman in Manchester, because they've had the park the longest, and I said, well, how does that work? And usually people will recognize somebody in the park that's an issue. And hopefully, we would want them to come to, us, whoever is on the committee for the dog park, and, they would be asked not to come if their dog wasn't under control. I mean, you don't want a dog attacking your dog, and you don't want it known that you have aggressive dogs or aggressive towards people dogs.
The other thing, if you get a lot of dogs, a lot of times what they'll do is separate large and small.
Well, that's what we had thought about was, like they do in West Rutland, there's a large dog area, which is the bigger area,
Yep.
small dog area, and then there's an entry you go into so you can access either one of the parks so that you're not going right from the park out. Also, we discussed 8-foot gates so that mowing machines could get in there. I talked to Aaron about the town, now they plow. If that would be an issue, I said, we would have one of the volunteers go, if we got forewarning, clean up any toys, clean up poop before it was mowed. And he said that he didn't foresee it being a problem. So that's kind of where.
Does anybody check to make sure the dogs has got all their shots before they go?
Well,
I was gonna say that they should only register dogs.
Licensed dogs.
licensed dogs,
Because then that licensing
Right.
does that.
Right, and it will be right on, I've taken photos of the different dog park signs, what their rules are. We'll have to come up with what we want the rules to, but it would be use at your own risk, dogs must be licensed, aggressive dogs will be asked to leave, that no bottles, no smoking, that kind of thing in the dog park. So we will have a big sign outside, one on the gate as you come in. People are pretty good about telling somebody when they're out of line or.
But it does get self-policed, it really does.
Yeah.
Do we need a Corps of Engineers to come in and okay this, or what?
Check out the wetlands,
Yeah.
that should be okay. We're just putting up some fence.
Who knows? But is everybody okay with us progressing?
Just, the thing, we just have to make sure that it's gonna be set up at the airport where it's not gonna interfere with any of the buildings that we wanna do at a later date.
Well, yeah, and if it is, we move it. I mean, it's a fairly simple thing to do. It's just a little bit of fencing and a little bit of segregation, and that's all you got.
So I told Linda I would bring this up, and I gotta be the bad guy. Not saying this will happen, but experience has kind of pointed in the direction that picking up, dog feces is not the, most fun thing to do. I honestly just, and I hope I'm wrong, I think this is just gonna be passed down to Joe Festa. As volunteers decide, I don't like this anymore. And Joe Festa's already in the summer, we already throw everything at that man.
Well, then, I would say,
If it doesn't, we close it.
yes, that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
put it
Yeah,
in.
we hold all the
If it
time.
gets to the point where the town has to start taking care of the park, it's closed.
Yeah, it's just, without more labor and help, we just throwing one more thing after another at one man is just
But there
not.
will also be the poop stations with the bags, with the garbage. It's a matter of, finding out whoever does the garbage for, where do we dispose of the bag full of dog poop?
Sure.
And then, obviously, if your dog's at the other end of the field, you may not see it poop, but somebody going around before the mower comes and just giving it a walkthrough, make sure no toys were left in there. I don't think it would be an issue for them.
And before, I take it, Aaron, you'd be involved too, and between Aaron and Joe, that before the fence is put up, because you don't, between parking your salt shed up there and making sure it's in a spot that makes sense for everybody.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of room up
Plenty of
there.
space up there, for sure. But yeah,
So let's proceed accordingly unless anybody's got any more major concerns. We're gonna,
do you need a
I don't think so at this time. We're just consensus of the board. If we get to the point where we have to actually spend some money, then we gotta talk about that, but,
Hopefully not. Yeah.
that poor dog is working to death here. You might even got some time in it.
Yeah, I might. But, he's all for the dog park, so, he can get a doggy friend.
Yeah, but he's kind of, he's got some skin in the game.
That's right. He likes dog parks. So my only other thing would be, can we get an account set up so that the money that is coming in now for the dog park can go to a dog park account?
Yes.
Okay,
We need the board to approve the project before we could just open an account for it.
right.
Okay, then we do need a,
No, I can open the account, we don't need that.
it doesn't matter. We're in favor here. It's a quickie.
Yep.
If you need it, we'll make a motion. If you don't,
We don't.
okay, then we're good.
Cool, then I can leave and take
Very
the
good.
dog home to bed.
Sorry
Thank
about waiting,
Thanks, folks.
keeping you.
Have a good night.
Good
Good
night.
night now.
Okay, sewer abatement and policy discussion. This ought to go smoothly.
So in your packets were the, just a preamble, I guess, as a way to kind of stave off last year's concern about what is and is not abatable. The board wanted to discuss the abatement policy for the sewer ordinance and the water ordinance. This meeting is strictly for the sewer. Next meeting I have scheduled for the water ordinance.
So you had tabs on the document you handed out. Did you want to talk through why the tab was there? And
Sure. So if you read, I'm sure everybody read through the entire document, word for word.
I did. I've got it memorized.
When you did that, you realize it doesn't say anything about giving sewer abatement to anybody for any reason. The tabs and the highlights show where there is language approving the board to waive fees. The fees are not abatements of usage. The fees are like, I hooked up my sewer and I shouldn't pay this much to hook up my sewer kind of thing. Similar to what we did with the brewery. That was a fee that was waived.
So according to this ordinance, there is no room for, abatements.
well, I saw on page 27, section 1005, request for fee waivers. And even though it doesn't say abatement, I'm saying there's different fees, like when you're gonna use water or whatever here. Is that a place where we can do requests for fee waivers / abatements and then put some verbiage to, I was just looking to try to
Yeah, I think
wonder where you wanted to
in
do
a
that.
personal opinion, I would think we would have a new article, because under Article
New
10.
section.
A new section?
Yeah, under Article 10, it's applications, permits, and fees, and that's kind of
That's not-
it's
doesn't
its own, yeah. It's its own bailiwick.
What do you call it when someone arranges to fill their pool? Is that not an abatement?
That is an abatement.
I mean, we do that,
We do.
and that's not in the,
We have nothing that allows us to do that.
This is the sewer one we're talking about.
This is sewer.
yeah, I know,
That's
but
the sewer,
the pool, I'm filling my pool, please don't charge me for sewer.
Right.
I read in some things that I believe Joe sent us, where there's some towns that do that, and they send a town employee to check the meter before they fill the pool
Well, let's,
with a fee course, this is the water, so we don't wanna.
Yeah, let's get to
not
sewer,
get-
but I think we're a little bit ahead of ourselves here. I think maybe what you should do is go to the examples of what we've done in the past and see if you can get any kind of continuity out of that, which I'm already gonna tell you you're not.
You're not gonna.
So, which is what we're looking
Right.
for. We're looking for, this is what we do, this is what, we don't do this, we don't do that. You don't have to say what we don't do, but here's how a sewer charge can be abated. Because right now, it's really incredible that we don't have anything, we just been
Playing it by ear.
playing it by ear. I mean, and, the thing to think about is what we've done in the past, what sounds legal and logical. Don't forget about freeze-ups. If you remember that fiasco.
Yes, that's actually in there.
Yeah. Is there a freeze-up thing in there?
Yeah, where you can turn your water on and run it.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
would that be in our water ordinance?
I guess that's.
That'd be in the water, but I mean, yeah.
As far as sewer,
This is a good exercise.
The only time, really, on the sewer part of it, the only time there's an abatement for the sewer is if you've had a water leak and it didn't go down the sewer. That's basically the only time you get a.
Well, yeah, and it's just a bill abatement.
Right,
You take,
and that's
and
what I'm
it's
saying, but,
water.
I mean, other than that, there's nothing else in the sewer what you can abate.
Right.
The basic rates are there, that's all there is to it, you can't get those abated.
But shouldn't you discuss what information should be necessary to give an
Yes.
abatement in today's?
There should be a
example?
process.
There should be a process.
Because people, they come in and all they say is, trust me, it didn't go down the drain.
Right.
Well, how do we know that?
That's a problem.
The difficulty we had last year, which led to this discussion, was people coming in saying, well, I watered my bushes. I watered my garden and it's COVID. I filled my pool.
See,
I watered my grass. I washed my house.
When we get into the water thing, I think that's where we can specify what can be abated and what can't be.
Yeah, but
But we
it's
still
sewer.
need- we still-
It's really talking about sewer. They're saying, I watered my garden, it didn't go down the drain.
so I should get the sewer,
So I should get the sewer abatement.
which is more expensive. Right?
Yes,
And
But-
yeah,
but it was talked about that, okay, put a meter in on that hose bit.
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
So maybe I got ahead of myself.
I think just to get formalized is a start in the right direction, believe me.
Well, like Jay said, we did pull some data from towns that wanted to participate, who said what they did and did not abate. Maybe if we started with, we do have a proposal on the table to the board. This would go under water. This is for the outdoor use. Maybe we could start with that at the next meeting. 'Cause
Yeah, well-
this would alleviate the
This-
watering and the pools and
Right.
the house washing.
Well, but it would come under they're gonna want their sewer abated. That's what, cause they're using their sewer, they're using the water and it's not going through the sewer.
This proposal will meter outdoor use only.
Okay.
So it's only water use.
But are we saying, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, it sounds like there's nothing documented, how do we abate sewer? Is the same statement true for water? There's nothing documented how we abate water?
There are a few,
There are a
Places
few
where you
more,
can-
there's a
you
few
can
more
abate, yeah.
places where it's put in there? Okay, so,
Well, let's put something, get some sample verbiage from, once again, VLCT seems like the first place I'd go. And see what they have. But a process is probably the most important thing, and what is an abatement, what it's for, where does it come in, how can you figure your numbers, all that stuff has to be part of it. Go ahead, Jeff, sorry.
For the sewer, it seems easiest to just add addendum or a paragraph in in the ordinance with all
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
information.
Exactly, you do another section
Yes,
for
yeah,
abatement and just-
something that's
Which is what you
specific,
do.
because all the things that are tabbed on these are fees. Yeah, I never picked up on that, but you're right, geez. I used to be able to read. Well,
What we were thinking, when I met with staff, was to avoid the whole idea of abatement, just like cut out the idea of subtracting. If you're gonna wash your car and fill your pool, it would be easier to have it metered through and just charge it for water. Then we can read that just by driving by and say, okay, you just used water for filling your pool.
your people would have to have a separate meter.
Yeah, it would be a
The
separate
problem
account.
I see with that is then do you charge them a separate,
Well, you charge them water.
a separate water, access fee?
Separate account, separate fee.
Okay.
If you're gonna charge another base rate on that meter,
Yeah, well, it's another meter. That's how we figure base rates, is by meters,
that's true, yep.
you know, so I couldn't think of the word, but that's, yeah.
If you read down through these things, here's one town that says residents abuse it.
Well, yeah,
That was her language, not mine. That's
No, I'm
exactly what she
saying,
said.
that's what I'm saying, you get down through and you read some of these things and, it's hard to regulate it. And I go along with the one where, there's one of them in here that says pool. To have the pool filled, is that they had an employee from the water department go check the meter before they started filling their pool. Then they went back and filled it out, checked it afterwards, and there was a fee to do it. I mean, that's, to me, that's the way to do it. I mean, if you don't feel you can trust the numbers that you're getting, listen, I watched my meter last year when I was watering my garden. And I'm lucky enough that I just have water in my garage out back, I don't have the sewer. But I checked every time, and I'd run my hose for at least 2 hours. Hour and a half to 2 hours. And there was never once it went over 300 gallons. So it's a very, very small amount. And if you're talking 300 gallons, you're not even talking what you're being charged per thousand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But-
I think it's a very, even washing a house, I've checked on, like when I've done my apartment house, which is a 2-story house. And if you use 700 gallons of water to wash that house, you've used a lot of water. So it's not, if you you hook a pump up or hook a pressure washer up, say right on it, maybe 2 gallons a minute.
Most of them are like a tenth or 6/10 of a gallon.
Yeah, I mean, you're not using a whole, and for somebody to come in and say, well, I use 5,000 gallons to wash my house, that's impossible.
Well, no, it's not possible, but.
No, but I mean, it's,
Got other things to do.
yeah, I mean, you must've been washing every house in the neighborhood.
Right.
But I think it's very small. A swimming pool's a different story, cause you're talking, thousands of gallons, I guess, but as far as washing a house or watering your lawn or watering your garden, I say there's no exemptions. That's my feelings.
Let's
Yeah,
get something on paper.
And I like the idea of the separate meter to measure it, but then when I'm saying, okay, the number of people we have in town that have swimming pools. And there's that, in order for them to fill or top off or whatever, if we tell them they have to have another meter, if they're gonna get anything abated, and in the past, we've been abating, fill the pool, we've been abating it, the sewer, and we say, now, you need to get a new meter, and the cost associated with that, I'm going, okay, have we made it cost restricted for them?
Get some things together for us, Joe, for next
Yeah.
meeting.
That's my deal.
Yeah, well, this didn't go quite as I thought it would.
No,
Does the board, you want me to, I can bring a list of what we have abated in the past, as well as the process for that.
Yeah. Step by step, we want that just in.
As long as I've ever sat in the board, the only time I ever remember abating anybody's is for if they had a water leak in the cellar and the water didn't go down the sewer and they could see a large amount of water that was used, or a swimming pool.
swim.
And to me, that's the only two things that you
And
look at for abatement.
what we have done in those cases when it's unexpected and nobody knew that they were going to have to check their meter, we've looked back on, so that should be in the process as well. I mean, it should be stated that we're gonna look back and we're gonna look back to,
Previous readings.
you know, the last year at the same time what you used, maybe 2 years if we can get that far. And we'll give you an average of that or something like that. You know, the difference, average of the difference.
Sure.
But,
That's what the current
Is it
water is.
reasonable to assume a maximum that you'll allow also? And there was an instance when I was on the board, someone had a trailer, they had a leak, they said they had a leak, and it was 80,000 gallons, okay? You know, they want almost their entire bill, I mean, they never had, I mean, if you're living there, you have a responsibility to maintain your property, and to wash, you know, no pun intended, but to wash 80,000 gallons away and say, okay, you don't have to use it, but pay it. You're kind of letting them off the hook.
If somebody's got a leak that bad, you're gonna notice it's
It's
not
been running
gonna.
a long.
That's right, and it's not gonna go on for just one day, I mean, and you're right, you should have responsibility.
Right.
If you've got a leak, you should,
You know, I would think that you'd want to discuss a maximum.
yes.
But whether it's a percentage of something, I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but, you know, discuss it at
It's
least.
not a bad idea to think.
yeah, it's not a bad idea. We shouldn't have too many of those now. The new system,
Yes.
you guys doing drive-bys should catch that ahead of time. But we should talk about that, about where we should, I mean, cause you do kinda have a
Put a
responsibility of
ceiling
some
on.
sort.
Next week, next meeting.
So you got some homework.
Yeah. This didn't go quite as smooth as I thought. I thought we'll talk
Well, I
about
don't
sewer,
know.
then we'll talk about water, and then we'll be done.
We blew
But I
right
think-
through, we blew right through it. I
But
thought
I
we did pretty
think,
good.
I think if you sit down and go through what you're gonna bait for water, it's gonna take care of the sewer.
I agree.
You know what I'm
I think we should be
saying?
able to-
Because
Yeah.
if you're gonna say what you're gonna bait for water, then you know
Yeah.
what your sewer will be. And I
Go
think it'll be a
through-
lot easier.
Go through with Bev and the different things that have happened so that you can write contingencies for what we've seen in the past. I mean, obviously you can't catch everything and you don't wanna make a rule for everything because it may change, but
My suggestion would have been you should have brought the water one in first.
Yeah. Hindsight.
Hindsight, that's right, yeah.
Are we all on the same page that basically the only thing that would end up abated in the sewer is a leak that didn't go into the sewer?
Right.
yeah.
Water that, right, that didn't go
Yeah.
in the sewer.
There should be some sort of mention of that in the sewer ordinance though, so that there's a, refer to the water, whatever hour.
Section, yeah,
Section, water,
whatever.
whatever, but yes, I think we are, Jeff.
So, a pool fill and leak that didn't go in the sewer.
Right, that's about
We're
it.
not gonna talk about water and gardens.
I don't think you should.
Now, I think we could come up with
I-
a process, simple process for
I was
that.
gonna say that I'm not ready for, you did a lot of work of looking at, I'm still not against, if someone said that they wanted to go and pay for a meter.
they wanna put a meter outside, that's up to them.
and
Yeah,
everything that's entailed.
they have to understand that there's
Their
a
expense.
cost.
What the cost is on that, right, but having that process, you might have someone with a huge garden
And the meter would have to be on the outside
of the,
of the faucet, not in the house.
No, it'd have to be, it'd
It
freeze.
has to be
It would freeze.
outside. The meeting would have, or the miller, yeah. The meter would have to be outside the house. So they can't turn around and hook the meter through the line where all your water to be going through it.
It'd freeze,
It'd freeze.
It just needs to be a dedicated line from
right,
the meter
To the next one.
to
to
the
the,
second meter to a outside faucet.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
it's gotta be so you can drain it.
Yeah, and South Burlington I've talked to their DPW super, and he's got a lot of experience down to how many gallons he's seen small homes to large businesses use. So they have great examples of what we can use for a dedicated outside meter.
And they must have ordinance too that you could steal.
That's what's in front of
That's just right here, I bet. Yeah. Good.
you. Okay.
All right,
I'll bring back some,
Back to work.
some other things.
yeah, you got stuff to do. SRO,
Yes. I've been reading the news and listening to the news and watching a lot of articles on the internet and stuff where the state, they're right now, they're trying to pass a law so they can't have an SRO in a school. And I know we've already appropriated money toward next year's in the budget. My concern is, if this law was to go through, I don't want another person on our police department. And I feel there should be, I want to make a motion that if this law goes through and the SRO is stopped being at the high school, that he does not come on the police department as another officer, and the money that's been appropriated goes back to general fund for reduction of taxes the following year. We don't need another police officer.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, I agree, we don't need another police officer, but I'm just saying, do we have to make I mean, is it automatic that they would
Something
come,
to
that
be
they
aware
come
of.
back? I mean, I'm just saying, we hired him as an SRO. If something were to change, and it hasn't
The
changed, but
job's
if something were to
eliminated,
change,
it's eliminated.
effective that change, we no longer need an SRO. Before anything would happen to come back to the police department, I would expect it comes back here.
But,
And,
but see, we voted years ago not to have a fourth officer, and they slid the fourth officer back in on us. And now we have 4 full-time officers again, after the townspeople voted not to have a fourth officer. And to me, if we got a motion that's been made that it doesn't happen, at least they got something that another board would have something to fall back onto where they could say, well, look, this decision was made that this officer does not come on the police department. Because you'd turn around, I'll tell you exactly what would happen. They'd turn around and say, well, we're not gonna hire him, we're gonna use him part-time. And we're gonna end up with a police officer the same way. Because after he works so many hours, the union's gonna say, hey, boys, you can't do this anymore. And we're gonna have to hire him. We don't need a 5th officer here. We don't need 4 officers here. So, I'm gonna make a motion that if the SRO is eliminated at the high school, that position is totally eliminated and does not come here as a police officer.
Is there a second? I would second it.
open for discussion now?
Yep.
I don't support that motion only because we're trying to do something if something else happens. It's not our place as this select board to make decisions on something that may happen somewhere else
Yes,
in
it
the
is.
future. No.
Yes, it is.
It's the sitting
Because you
select board at that
are,
time.
because we're going to end up with,
In my opinion.
we're going to end up with another officer here if we don't do something now.
That's,
I'm not saying this law is going to go in effect. It might not, but right now there's a lot of support on it.
I,
I
And
don't, I
we're
just don't
talking
understand how it could, because if the position's eliminated, it's eliminated, they go away.
But
So how could that happen?
we're going to hear that this money's in our budget so we can use it.
There's
It's in
things that
there, it's in
happen.
there as an officer, for an SRO officer.
There is an SRO line, he's a, so just for everybody's benefit, the chief did sign on. But I would, me personally as the town manager would not bring a 5th officer on.
right.
That SRO money would be, it's a contract position.
Yeah.
Once,
It's over.
if it was over, the contract is eliminated, and I wouldn't do that without bringing something to the board, if that makes you feel any better. But
But what happens to the money?
the money would sit in the budget and then it would roll into
It
general
would
fund.
be it would be,
Just
if you didn't
not
use it, if we didn't use it for, as you said, for part-time and stuff like that,
Well, we shouldn't be able to.
it would go into the carry forward.
But you shouldn't be able to use that for anything because it's earmarked as SRO. Correct?
Joe, Bill's got a question. He's got his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bill.
That's fine, just a comment, if that contract was permanent, if that position would be eliminated, we would not be adding another officer.
That's what,
I understand the concern, but yeah, we wouldn't, I would
Very
never do
big
that
concern.
without bringing it to the board.
Well, any other discussion on the motion?
What is the motion exactly, Bob?
To not allow the SRO to morph to a fifth officer. Essentially, I think it was probably a little more formal than that, but
Yeah.
what do you got, Claire?
If the SRO is eliminated at the high school, that the position does not end up as a fifth officer in the town of Fairhaven.
What she said. Everybody got what we're doing? All those in favor?
Aye.
Second.
Aye. Yeah, I seconded it.
Oh, you seconded, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, what was it?
all those opposed.
All those, don't get nervous, I was just
Yeah.
getting it. All those opposed?
Nay?
Nay.
You're eyeing?
Are you for or against?
Sorry, it's a nay. It's a nay for,
It's a
yeah.
nay. It's a nay.
Okay.
Three
3 to 2.
3 to 2, the motion
motion
fails.
goes down.
It will happen.
Motion
I'm telling you,
fails.
we've gone through this
Motion
before.
fails.
This is the way it operates here. I'm telling you right now. It's gonna, it will happen.
Hopefully, the people that are on this board will remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, parking lot, anything got? Go ahead.
I would like to, we had some discussion earlier around the expense of the refurbishment that we're doing in the town hall. And just so we have it in front of us, under parking lot, I'd like town hall refurbishment to go under the parking lot so that it gets us back so that it's a little more in front of us. We can talk more about where are we, what can we afford, and help in the communication of the need for upgrades in the town hall.
I don't think it needs to be in the parking lot.
No, I like the idea because sometimes projects get lost, but so the parking lot came along, when I came here, just to keep the projects we want to move forward, so that way things like the policy to cap funds. A project that's already going, I'm afraid it would just start, like, we would lose the effectiveness of the parking lot if it gets cluttered. I can send out something more, maybe once a week, send something else out during the roundup.
Well, you'd have project updates.
Or under the project update, I can,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's my fault. I apologize. If really things are just lingering, I usually don't say anything. But I can bring it up more often.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about in the parking lot in general is that you throw one or more of those into the old business if there's something we should be discussing. I mean, it would take probably 2 meetings to get a tax stabilization policy to update our tax stabilization policy, maybe. You know, pull up the old one, give it to us, let us have a week or 2 weeks to look at it, and we could probably come up with enough.
we've
Make a
also
change,
got
you know,
the
and
economic development.
start checking some of these off.
That's already working on tax stabilization, so
Oh,
if you want to do it as a board, instead of having the committee, that's fine. We'll take it off our,
no,
quite a bit of work started.
no, what I'd like to do is just have you guys update us.
Okay,
And, so make sure that the board is on the same page and going in the same direction. Cause if the board isn't gonna approve what you guys spend 40 hours on, it makes no sense.
yeah, and we haven't been able to spend much time because of COVID, but it's
Yeah.
quite a bit of work,
Okay. I didn't realize you were working on it. That's good to know.
that downtown.
But anyways, just, let's keep them in the.
Yep.
My question, the other one is the zoning regulation updates. where are we at with that?
Yeah, I talked with Dave Amy, who is the chair of that board. He said he would try to wrangle everybody and get that back on task.
Go back to what Glenn was saying, your project updates should cover anything on what he was talking about, because that's one of our projects that you talk about, so,
And that can go, yeah, I mean, that
you
can
know what I'm
go,
saying? The project update should take care of anything to do with the building here and.
and that,
and all the rest.
yeah, and that can go in your town manager report.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Anything else then? If not, board roundtable, Carol?
Oh. Pass.
I already said something to Aaron about getting the trucks lettered. We also have a police car that hasn't been lettered,
Oh, the new one, yeah.
so we'd like to get that in so we can get that taken care of. And there was I saw something, maybe it's already been taken care of, but the water for 30 South Main Street, they wanted to come in and get their water, whatever the heck it was.
Yeah, they sent me the information and that at the next meeting, the permit,
Okay,
the
so
initial allocation.
it's coming in next meeting.
Yes, sir.
So I guess, again, I don't understand why we have to turn around and redo it when there was a house there. There was a 3-bedroom house there before. And why somebody'd have to pay to re-hook up. If he bought the lot and the hookup was there, why would they have to pay? So that's something else to talk about in the water ordinance, I guess.
Okay.
Has anybody heard anything about a leak in the sewer line coming from Camaros?
From Camara's?
Yeah, then that pressurized one. We don't own that, correct? That's theirs.
From
I have-
Skyline.
From Skyline. I have been hammered 4 times on this, from the same person. They claim that Legion sent a bill to Camaro saying that there's a broken pipe and they want Camaro to fix it in front of the Legion.
Oh,
Well, even if that was so, I would have to go back onto the contractor that did the work there, because they dug down deep and they were on that line with a vibrator compactor. So if there's any damage in that line in that section, I would say they want to go back to their contractor.
Well, I haven't noticed anything.
I haven't either, but this is, again, the same person's the one that's brought it to me, and I told him I'd bring it up tonight and ask if anybody else has heard anything about it.
no,
Okay.
it wasn't, so if it's the same letter that I know of, they did send a letter to Camara, asking them to pay for the paving, saying that it was their line and now we want you to
So,
pay for the paving.
That could be where this whole thing is coming from, and the person that's telling me this is adding to it.
Or maybe just got a bit of wrong information, yeah.
Yeah, but again, that's nothing to do with Camaro. They overshot what they're supposed to be doing. Anyways, long story short. And the other thing, I went through this year's town report. And the delinquent taxes and water bills stunned me. We got one person in here that owes $33,000 in taxes. Why hasn't that property been put up for sale?
So some of them are being put up for sale. VLCT recommended not to sell people's homes during COVID because of COVID.
But part of this isn't housing that he owes taxes on.
Just on raw land, we are selling those.
Well, this one here really bothers me because of the fact that I know what's gone on in the past. And $33,000 is a lot of money to the town.
Yeah. It is.
And there's, I feel anybody that's in here for over $7,000, the houses something should be done. We're looking at, we're down to $185,000, but that's money that the taxpayers of this town has to pick up because that's part of our budget. And if we're not getting the money in from taxes, our entire budget's based on our tax rate. And if we're not getting our money, somebody else has to pay for it, or some of our projects aren't gonna get done because we don't have the money. And the same with the water bills. We got water bills in here, $2,600, $1,300, $1,100, $8,000. Why are we still supplying water to these people? This is crazy. $91,000
in back water and sewer bills. That's our payment for our new, that's the half of the payment for our new water, or sewer system. What can we do to get on these people so that's, I mean,
The question I would have on some of the larger ones, maybe if you could give us a report of how many have agreements, and if the agreements are gonna pay it off, if they're just,
and if they're staying up with their agreements.
right.
I was baffled when I went through this and saw the amount of money that's owed to the town. I mean, Jesus, on a water bill, if somebody gets up into $5,000, there's a problem.
Which one's for the town, the one that's the town, that was the one I was interested in, town of Fairhaven. The water bill.
That's where we've taken on property from tax sales.
And we know how much we need to get.
Yeah, a lot of the taxes that Jay's, I don't mean to point at you, a lot of the taxes that that you mentioned, and then the water as well as properties like the Union Street home.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
but the one that I'm talking $33,000 is it?
That property in
is-
particular should,
Delinquent tax,
That's a private deal. And-
no, that's the town of Fairhaven,
No.
No,
34,000.
23.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The other thing is a lot of those water bills are paid in full, right?
yeah, that number sounds too high, that's an old number. That had to go out with the book. When we noticed people to shut them off, the people immediately pay.
Okay, this was as of July, or June of 30th.
Yeah.
I mean, but they're still, I'm sure these ones at 11,000 and 12,000, they haven't paid them off.
Maybe not, yeah.
So
No,
And
they got a payment plan.
you know, I mean, it's just, it all reflects on how we're doing our budgeting because we're not getting our money in. So that's all I got. I mean, I was just blown away when I read that.
Well, that's not really budgeting, that's cash flow.
Yeah, but, but it's not
But you
here.
count on cash flow.
Yeah, but it's, we have to have that to make sure our budget is operating the way it's supposed to.
I have nothing.
Jeff?
I've got nothing for round two. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too. Well, I do have, did you get that, readout you were gonna get for Tomasset?
it was done this morning.
It was done this morning.
Yes.
Information should be here.
Just send it to me, I'll
We'll take care
pass
of
it
it.
on to him.
God bless you.
I'm gonna get the phone call anyways, I might just go.
Yeah, have the information.
Be ahead of the curve, as it were. But anyways, I promised I'd do that, so,
Yeah, we'll get it over to you.
thanks. All right, moving right along. Financials,
Motion to pay the payroll warrant, $30,637.75.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Motion to pay the general fund warrant, $74,512.10.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay,
On that,
There's
checkbook, excuse me.
$526,822.18 in checkbook.
Okay, you're gonna say something? I'm sorry.
yeah, on our expenses, there was a large insurance payment on it, and I believe there was another payment for
Salt.
salt or something. I mean, there was two very large, things that had gone out of there.
Yeah.
And your checkbook is gonna be better now, Jeff, because I paid my taxes today.
We,
Okay,
Tomorrow.
We have an executive session.
we are not gonna have an executive session because it was for for evaluations, and we're gonna do that in the next,
Next meeting.
so if everybody can get their things to me, or tell me they're ready, I'll come get them, whatever, either way.